Hello there. Lord Yorkie York, the city gent, at your service. Taking you back to when I had to get a job on City Street using the name Stanley. This is my parabook, the Ultra Deluxe version. We've been here twice already. This may be the last time. We'll see.
This is the story of a man named...
Well, we've heard that.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Maybe. I think it's time for some more organised disobedience, don't you?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Did we? I don't think we did. I think we went through here.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Might have
I'm not
done.
your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
We heard that before.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do...
There we are. And...
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all
She does go on, doesn't she?
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Oh dear. Looks like we're going to have to relive this.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Alright.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes
There's no clock
is
on
a
the wall this
reminder
time.
of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Well, we appear to keep choosing this
But in
line.
his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Yes, indeed. Life is so
And so he
boring.
began to fantasize about his
Hey,
own
the clock's
job.
back.
First, he imagined that one day while at work,
TV
he
went.
stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
I think
The
they call that
thought
wish fulfillment.
excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
You know, I think that explains Starbucks when you think about it.
As
They're
he
trying
wandered
to
through
make us
this
think we have
fantasy
choice
world,
in life.
he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it The Stanley Parable.
Most of us might be trapped in the same routine every single day, but at least at Starbucks
It
we
was
can
such a
have a
wonderful
venti
fantasy.
latte
And so in his
instead
head,
of
he relived it
a grande
again,
cappuccino.
And then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played
Apparently
just
not.
one more time. But there is no answer. How could
She's
there
gone.
possibly be?
We're back
In
at the
reality,
desk.
all he's doing is pushing the same
Kind of.
buttons he always has.
Well, the
Nothing
TV,
has
there's
changed.
stuff
The
there.
longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Is this the real life?
And I'm trying to tell
Or
him
is this just
that in this
fantasy?
world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to
Caught
me.
in a
He won't stop.
landslide.
Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
No escape from reality. Mama, just press the button. Put my finger on the J.
You see?
Pressed it down and
Can you
now
just
it's
not hear
okay.
me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Mama, life was
Suppose
just
I can't.
begun.
Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to
Now
my
I'm
intended
pushing
purpose, the same as
buttons all
Stanley.
the day.
Not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
This time,
And I tried again.
more than any
And
other
Stanley pushed
time,
a
this
button.
time.
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button.
We're
And I tried-
gonna find a way. Find a way to push buttons all the day this time. Alright, I think we're done with that area then. All the same now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
Let's
he
go
had
to the
simply
meeting
missed a
room.
memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Right, here we go.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that.
Yeah,
And in
that
such a
would be bad.
competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And
Maybe
then
I am.
something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in
Doesn't
a
make
single
sense.
moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Ah,
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
ah.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Well, that's
Were they
not very
simply
good, is it?
repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled.
Of a white
This is all a
Christmas.
dream.
Didn't have one this year.
What a relief Stanley felt.
You have a
to
white
have
Christmas?
finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I
All
may
the
as
times
well
are
enjoy
different.
this while I'm still lucid.
1,
So,
2, B,
he
4.
imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and
We're
Stanley
walking in
marveled
the
that it had
air.
still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head
That's a really good
everything
question.
that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is
I know
as
people
awake
who don't
right
take
now
responsibility
as
when
he's
they're awake.
ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control.
Maybe everything is a part of me. Maybe the entire universe
So he
is
closed
a
his
part of me.
eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside
Maybe
this one.
you're all living in
Let
a
me
simulation,
wake up,
and I'm the
he thought to
simulation.
himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
I'm not okay. Oh dear. Told you.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone
Wake
tell
me
me I
up
am real. I must
before
be
you
real.
go,
I must
go.
be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Boop.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Oh, there's
But
a
on
dead
this
body.
particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man.
He's strange.
He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by
Indeed.
extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
We met that part before, but only once.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
One
missed
more
the
time
memo.
for fun.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either.
Not at all.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley
Indeed.
decided to go up to his boss's office.
Upstairs we
Coming
go.
to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
The executive bathroom. Can't do anything in there, unfortunately, but there's the executive bathroom. Broken mirror. Have we been in here? I don't recall. Wonderful music, isn't it so well written? Not trashy at all. I'm starting to get Omen feelings. I have a feeling it's going to drop and saw me into any time now. Did I know that Damien Thorne was the Antichrist? I don't know. Maybe I couldn't have watched Omen before getting in a lift. Well, what's left? What's left? Hello! Oh yeah, we've arrived. Same place we were before. Go figure. Let's try going down. You know, this place is a mess of papers all over the place. Ooh, we're back here. Well, let's go to the boss's office, shall we?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Well, there you go. That went all dark all of a sudden, didn't it? Going down.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
We've been down the escape route before. It led to death.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
I guess we do. I guess we do. It all looks very familiar, you know.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
427, right over there. And a black office, dark office, blacked out office. There you go. Look. We have another button. I like pushing
This
buttons.
mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
It sounds really
Had
good.
Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
What's wrong with a little emotional manipulation?
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life.
I mean, if you're
in
happy,
someone
you're
else's
happy, aren't you?
control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Well, he's been here before.
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would...
One more power.
blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won.
There you go.
He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command.
Yay!
Freedom was mere moments away.
Freedom! Freedom to rock!
Yet,
Freedom to talk!
Even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Who cares?
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other
cares?
mysteries did this strange building hold?
Who cares?
As sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was
Absolutely.
not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand,
But to
but
let
to
go.
let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley
Indeed.
stepped through the open door.
And what a pretty landscape.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Indeed.
And Stanley was happy.
We even just got an achievement. Beat the game. And that is where we will end it. I'm sure there are a couple of other routes to follow, but honestly at this point we're repeating too much, so that's going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed the Stanley Parable. It was kind of ultra deluxe, wasn't it? In the end, we found peace. We should all rest in peace. No, that sounds wrong. We should all be at peace. We'll bring something new to the channel next time. In the meantime, little pip.